On January 9th, 2019, a statement was published on Jeff Bezos' official Twitter account. In it, Jeff Bezos and Mackenzie Scott announced that they were divorcing after 25 years of marriage. For a couple who had built one of the most influential companies in the world together, the announcement raised immediate questions. After more than 2 decades of marriage and 4 children, what had led to this decision? To understand the divorce, it is necessary to go back to the beginning. Jeff Bezos and Mackenzie Scott met in 1992 in New York. While both were working at the investment firm D.E. Shaw, according to multiple biographical profiles and Mackenzie's past interviews, she joined the firm as a research associate and worked in proximity to Bezos. In a 2013 Vogue interview, Mackenzie stated that she first noticed Bezos because of his distinctive laugh coming from the office next door. The two began dating soon after meeting. In 1993, they were married. This marriage date is consistently documented across major media profiles and biographical records. In 1994, approximately 1 year after their marriage, Bezos left D.E. Shaw. According to business reporting and Amazon's early corporate history coverage, he decided to start an online bookstore after researching internet growth statistics. That same year, the couple relocated from New York to Seattle. Multiple business publications have documented that the move was directly connected to launching Amazon, which was founded in 1994. During Amazon's earliest phase, Mackenzie assisted with administrative tasks and early operational support. This involvement has been referenced in company retrospectives and interviews. Jeff Bezos and Mackenzie Scott remained married for 25 years and had 4 children. Throughout Amazon's rise, they maintained a largely private family life. For decades, there were no public reports of marital instability. January 9th, 2019, the divorce announcement. On January 9th, 2019, Jeff Bezos posted a joint statement on Twitter signed by both himself and Mackenzie Scott. The statement read, in part, that after a long period of loving exploration and trial separation, they had decided to divorce and continue their shared lives as friends. Major outlets, including The Washington Post, CNBC, and The New York Times, reported the announcement within minutes. What stood out immediately was the phrasing. Long period of loving exploration and trial separation. This confirmed 2 key things. The separation was not sudden. The couple had already been living separately before the public announcement. Multiple media reports later clarified that the couple had been quietly separated for several months before January 2019. However, within hours of the announcement, the situation became more complicated. On the same day, the National Enquirer published a report alleging that Jeff Bezos had been in a relationship with former television anchor Lauren Sánchez. The publication claimed it had obtained private text messages between Bezos and Sánchez. According to reporting from the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times, Bezos and Sánchez had become close in 2018. At the time, Sánchez was married to Hollywood agent Patrick White. The timeline became a central focus in media analysis. 2018. Bezos and Sánchez reportedly began a relationship. Mid to late 2018, Jeff and Mackenzie were already separated, according to later statements. January 9th, 2019. Divorce announcement. January 10th, 2019. National Enquirer story published. This sequence led to widespread speculation. However, it is important to note what was officially confirmed and what was reported. Jeff Bezos later addressed the situation publicly in February 2019 in a blog post published on Medium and Net Post. He accused the National Enquirer's parent company, American Media Inc., of attempting to blackmail and extort him over private photos. That Medium post became a major media event. CNN, BBC, and the New York Times covered it extensively. In the post, Bezos did not deny the relationship with Lauren Sánchez. Instead, he focused on the alleged extortion attempt. Meanwhile, several outlets reported that Mackenzie Scott had been aware of the relationship before the divorce announcement became public. Some reports suggested she had been informed months earlier. However, neither Jeff nor Mackenzie publicly gave a detailed interview explaining specific private conflicts. They did not publicly accuse each other of wrongdoing. Their joint statement maintained a respectful tone throughout. There was no public legal battle, no public custody dispute, no hostile interviews. In April 2019, the divorce was finalized. Mackenzie Scott later stated in a brief comment to The Washington Post, that she was grateful for the past and excited about what came next. She also stated she was happy to be giving him all of my interests in the Washington Post and Blue Origin, focusing on moving forward. From a strictly documented perspective, here is what can be confirmed through media reporting. The couple had been separated before January 2019. Jeff Bezos entered a relationship with Lauren Sánchez. The National Enquirer investigation made the relationship public. Bezos publicly accused the publication of blackmail. The divorce proceeded without public courtroom conflict. What was never officially detailed, the exact internal marital conversations, the private discussions leading to separation, specific personal disagreements. No direct interview from either party has ever outlined a dramatic confrontation or a specific single moment that caused the divorce. Publicly, the separation was framed as a long process rather than a sudden event. This brings us to the core analytical question. If there was no public fight, no court battle, and no explosive accusations between them, what likely led to the breakdown after 25 years? 2018, the turning point. By early 2018, multiple media outlets later confirmed that Jeff Bezos and Mackenzie Scott were already experiencing a separation period. According to reporting by the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times in early 2019, Jeff Bezos had begun seeing Lauren Sánchez. During 2018, both publications cited sources familiar with the matter. Lauren Sánchez was at that time married to Patrick Weitzel, a Hollywood talent agent. The two couples were reportedly social acquaintances for years. Several reports noted that the Bezoses and the Weitzels had spent time together socially before the relationship became romantic. This is important. The reporting from the New York Times stated that Bezos and Sánchez grew closer in 2018 through shared professional and social circles. Sánchez, who had a background in television and aviation, was involved in helicopter filming projects and aviation initiatives, areas that overlapped with Bezos' interest in aerospace through Blue Origin. However, media coverage consistently emphasized a key detail. By the time the romantic relationship began, Jeff and Mackenzie were already separated. The joint divorce statement in January 2019 described a long period of loving exploration and trial separation. That phrasing strongly indicates that marital strain existed before the relationship became public. There has never been a public statement from Mackenzie Scott accusing Jeff Bezos of infidelity before separation. There has also been no documented interview in which she claimed the relationship directly caused the marriage to end. Most mainstream coverage framed the relationship with Sánchez as something that became public during an already existing separation, not necessarily the original cause. Now, let's look at another documented shift in 2018. During that period, Bezos was transitioning into a different phase of public life. Amazon had become the most valuable company in the world at certain points in 2018. Bezos was the richest person globally, according to Forbes. He was increasingly visible in Hollywood, politics, media, and aerospace. Several analysts writing in outlets like The Atlantic and Bloomberg described this period as Bezos entering a more publicly high-profile, lifestyle-driven era: yacht travel, celebrity events, media attention. Meanwhile, Mackenzie Scott had maintained a much more private profile for decades. Throughout their marriage, she rarely gave interviews. She did not cultivate celebrity status. Even after the divorce, she has avoided high-visibility press tours. The contrast between their public personas had become more visible. However, and this is critical, there is no direct interview where either of them stated that lifestyle differences caused the divorce. What we do have are documented patterns. Long marriage, beginning in 1993. Separation occurring before January 2019. Romantic relationship in 2018, becoming public. Calm/cooperative divorce process, finalized April 2019. Another key documented detail, the divorce settlement was reached extremely quickly. According to court records reported by CNBC and Bloomberg in April 2019, the divorce was finalized within approximately 3 months of the announcement. There was no prolonged legal battle, no public dispute over children, no public statements of betrayal. Mackenzie Scott later signed the Giving Pledge in May 2019 and publicly thanked Jeff Bezos in a tweet for his support. That tweet read, "Grateful to have finished the process of dissolving my marriage with Jeff with support from each other, and everyone who reached out in kindness." Again, respectful tone. There has been no book, No expose interview, no media retaliation from either side. From a strict documentary standpoint, the evidence suggests this. The marriage had evolved over decades. Separation began quietly before public knowledge. A new relationship developed during that separation period. The divorce was handled privately and efficiently. There is no verified public evidence of a single explosive event. Instead, the documented narrative points toward a gradual marital shift rather than a sudden collapse. That brings us to the final section. After the divorce, what they actually said? On April 4th, 2019, Jeff Bezos and Mackenzie Scott finalized their divorce. Mackenzie Scott posted a public statement on Twitter at the same day. In that statement, she confirmed she would retain 25% of their Amazon shares. She would give Jeff Bezos voting control of those shares. She would also transfer her interests in the Washington Post and Blue Origin to him. But more importantly for this documentary, she wrote something that directly reflected the tone of their separation. Grateful to have finished the process of dissolving my marriage with Jeff with support from each other, and everyone who reached out in kindness. That wording matters. There was no accusation, no mention of betrayal, no hostile language. In multiple interviews afterward, including coverage by the Washington Post and Vanity Fair, Scott did not discuss private marital conflicts. She focused on philanthropy and moving forward. Jeff Bezos, for his part, did not give a detailed television interview explaining the divorce. He never publicly blamed Mackenzie. He never publicly described private arguments. The only extended public statement he made during that period was his February 2019 Medium post. But that focused entirely on allegations of extortion by American Media Inc., not on his marriage. In that post, he acknowledged his relationship with Lauren Sánchez indirectly by referencing private photos and text messages, but did not discuss the state of his marriage. Major outlets such as CNN, BBC, The New York Times, and CNBC consistently described the divorce as surprisingly amicable, efficient, lacking public hostility. Now, let's address the central question directly. Why did they divorce? Based strictly on publicly documented facts, they described a long period of trial separation, a romantic relationship with Lauren Sánchez. The marriage formally ended in 2019. Neither party publicly accused the other of wrongdoing. No legal battle or contested court filings emerged. There is no verified interview where either party states, "The relationship with Lauren caused the divorce. We ended the marriage because of X specific conflict." Media analysis from outlets like Bloomberg and The Atlantic suggested that Bezos was entering a dramatically different phase of life. By 2018, higher public exposure, Hollywood circles, increased celebrity presence, while Scott remained intensely private. But that remains analysis, not direct testimony. What we can responsibly conclude is this. After 25 years of marriage, 4 children, and the creation of one of the most influential companies in the world, the relationship had already shifted before the public knew. The separation was described by both as gradual. The new relationship became public during that separation. The divorce was resolved quickly and respectfully. There was no court war, no explosive interview, no public character attack. From a documentary standpoint, the absence of public hostility is one of the most striking aspects of this case. In many high-profile divorces, narratives are built around scandal, accusation, and emotional confrontation. In this case, the public record shows restraint. Jeff Bezos moved forward with Lauren Sánchez publicly. Mackenzie Scott remarried in 2021, later divorcing again in 2023. But she has never publicly discussed details of her first marriage ending. Their story, based on documented evidence, appears less like a sudden collapse and more like a long evolution that eventually reached its endpoint.